I recently completed the campaign for the game Void Bastards, a game which caught my eye a few months back, and I finally got the humble Australia relief bundle. I was a bit excited to have what looked to be a solid roguelite-y, permadeath progression procedural sort of game, but was it really worth hyping up to any degree? To start, Void Bastards is an immersive sim, which to me means a game like Prey 2017, since that's the only game in this genre I've played, and it captures all the good thing about that genre. You run around in large areas in the form of individual ships, grab all the loot you can, and figure out if you can run and gun or sneak attack enemies, and generally go about things your own way, using an arsenal of weapons and items you can craft with using said loot. The game does a pretty good job with making the core gameplay feel pretty good, but there are some key areas where the game falls short. The major thing I found is that doing things your own way is somewhat limited in various parts of the game, particularly combat, since stealth attacking enemies versus just gunning them down mostly just lets you get close to enemies and get one shot before they notice you. And there are almost always security pots to deal with, which limits how you can approach levels in the 3 weapon loadouts you choose. I almost always pick the stunner gun, since it lets you deal with sentries even from a distance. Other options are way less effective. Gunning the sentries down puts you at a risk of taking a ton of damage and uses your generally limited ammo supply. Trying to go about them by disabling security puts you at risk from being blocked by the security room, by sentries at a distance, if a ship layout doesn't go your way, since there's randomness to what ship layout there you get. And hacking the sentries is impossible to do consistently unless you get lucky, since you need to be right next to sentries in order to hack them. If any sentry's in the middle of the room, where you get shot before you get a chance to approach it, you're screwed. This is probably the strongest example of this game appearing to have a lot of variety in its gameplay, but really being more limited in what you can do. Whether it be directly limited or being indirectly limited by one option being simply way better than the others. Enemy design has this issue a bit as well, with enemies later in the game, such as ones with the shields, promoting specific weapons being used instead of just changing your tactics up. Permadeath is a thing that's done nicely in this game, however. When you die, you lose your current inventory of ammo upon death, but not access to the items you've crafted, and each life is a new character with different traits that you may have improved throughout your run. Instead of being one big interconnected shuttle like Prey, you jump in your starship from ship to ship, which are individual level-sized locations, picking your route as you go along. Each ship is one of several archetypes, and each type has one of several layouts, which you find upon entering the ship. Each ship also has a randomly picked enemy type and modifiers, which are shown before you enter the ship. This is one element of procedural generation done right in this game. Although for the ship's layout themselves, they aren't procedurally generated, as that probably would be a mess, but instead there's a limited number of layouts, and you will find yourself recognizing all the layouts by the end of the game. There could have been more room for variety in that regard. One of the seemingly major elements of the game, in the map, are pirates which appear over some ships and will follow you into the ships you enter. These pirates turn out to be a missed opportunity, however. The problem is, if you play like an average player, you'll constantly be picking up loot, which includes missiles which are basically a counter to pirates, destroying them immediately upon contact, with no choice not to use the missile, meaning that most players will probably almost never encounter pirates. I only ran into them once my entire playthrough, and that was partially on purpose. Giving the players to not shoot in exchange for rewards, or making the missile only make pirates weaker, would have made this element of the game not seem so wasted, since I partially expected pirates to just appear on ships more often, perhaps randomly occasionally, which may have been a different way to go about implementing pirates. This especially feels a shame since as you progress throughout the game, the pirates will comment on your various actions and are the main ones that expand on what is truly happening in the world you are in. Speaking of these comments from the pirates as well as comments from enemies and NPCs are all wonderfully voiced. And this game is presented in a very visually interesting comic book style, complete with Doom-style 2D enemies. Well, maybe everyone except the pirates are wonderfully voiced. The pirates are Well, I hate to dunk on one specific person, basically, but something about the pirate voices sounds amateur compared to all the other enemy and NPC voices that give you a nice space Aussie vibe.
Fucking tethers off! Hi, troops! Some dauber setter, frigate adrift!
Once you beat the main game, you can do challenges which add modifiers to a campaign run, but I really don't feel it gives enough changes in the game to warrant a replay. This is basically the main problem I have with the game. It's a good for a first run through, but there really isn't enough variety that you would think from a roguelite sort of game to actually have multiple playthroughs and get tons and tons, and tens upon hundreds of hours of gameplay. For the 11 hours I did do with the campaign though, it was really fun. There's maybe a little bit more fun to be had in completely maxing out all the items you can craft, but that's about all I can see for this game. There is a little bit of extra content for the game in the form of a DLC, but it's just a weapon and an enemy type, as far as I understand. I don't really like that type of piecemeal DLC. And maybe, hopefully in the future, the developers can make a more major update that sort of ups the roguelitiness of this game. Performance-wise, I had no issues with the game. The game held above 144 FPS, on my mid to high-end gaming PC running Ubuntu. So in conclusion, at the full price of $29.99 USD on the Steam store, I probably wouldn't buy this game, but even at a minor sale such as minus 33% that it is currently on, just as of the time of this video, I would recommend it. There is just a solid enough game for 20 bucks. Any more? I don't know. This concludes my thoughts on Void Bastards. All the clips you've been seeing in this video have been taken from my live stream, which you can check out in the video description. There I have the full playthrough VODs of this game, as well as several others. Otherwise, you can look on my YouTube channel for some other gaming content, although this is the first review I've ever done. Otherwise, thanks for watching, peace, and bye.